I want to first thank the Stonewall Democratic Club for having me here tonight and all the candidates here so we can speak and participate in this wonderful event. My name's Alex Singer. I'm a candidate in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. The first question people ask me when I'm running for Congress, they first ask why. And then the next question is, why would you do so at 29? And I would say to that, I believe in what Martin Luther King says when he said he believes in the fierce urgency of now. That the issues that you face and your families face can no longer be put off and put aside in Congress, which oftentimes happens, because oftentimes what we do is we elect people that make decisions about our lives that don't have any consequences for themselves and their families. So they make decisions on cutting the social safety net. Well, that matters to me. I'm a safety net Democrat. 4.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And if you don't know what that is, it's an IBS, it's an irritable bowel. And, for me, that mattered to me. So when they talk about cutting Social Security disability, Medicaid, Medicare, that matters to me. And that matters to millions of Americans. Those issues matter. And again, the issues that I'm fighting for are not only for the social safety net, but for a $15 minimum wage, because no one should be working 40 hours a week and still live in poverty. We should have a single-payer healthcare system, because in the greatest and richest nation in the world, no one should go without healthcare. We need to protect and advance women's rights, LGBTQ rights, veterans' rights, and we need to do more to protect our environment. And what that means is bringing sustainable, non-outsourceable jobs right here to Nevada. We can do it with wind and solar. There was a study not too long ago that showed that we could provide 100% of our energy needs if we installed wind farms. Now think about that. And now think about why that didn't happen. It happened because of big money in politics. And that's why I'm proud to say that we're a grassroots campaign that's funded by the people and for the people. And that means that when I get to Congress, I'm beholden to only the people. I don't need to repay favors. I don't need to make sure that I have to call someone to get permission to vote on a bill. That oftentimes happens in Congress. So my candidacy is about the people. And that's why I'm proud to be powered by the people.
I'd like to start with, after that opening statement, follow up on that. How do you think you're qualified to serve in Congress, and would you consider yourself more qualified than your Democratic and Republican opponents?
It's a great question. I think the voters get to decide who's qualified and who's not qualified. Right? That's why we have elections, and that's why we have a free democratic society. And why I'm qualified is because I've lived the American life. I've experienced, down times, good times, some more down times, and some good times. And that's the American way. We can't just keep electing people to Congress that are millionaires or that are well-connected and expect them to make decisions for the better for us. We have to start getting involved in that. We have to start making the decisions. So when I say I'm on disability, and I'm on Medicare, and I've been on Medicaid, those issues are not always the typical way, the typical experience that a congressman or senator has ever experienced. So they're making decisions on these programs they know very little about, and they have real-life consequences for you and me, you and your family. So we need to start having people in Congress that really show what the American electorate is really like. Not everybody's rich. We know that. Everybody experiences struggles, so we need to start electing people that have experienced these downtimes, but also have overcome them, but understand the issues that affect the day-to-day lives of everyday Americans.
And might as well throw in this question from the audience. Do you support raising the eligibility age to collect Social Security? Also, do you support raising the contribution cap to Social Security? So basically, do you feel Social Security system needs to be reformed, and if so, how?
Well, what I'll say to that is I don't believe using the word reform when we talk about Social Security. Because oftentimes reform means cut. Now, if we raise the eligibility age of Social Security, we're going to be reducing benefits for millions of seniors. and that's cutting benefits. So that's not a solution. That's just cutting. So, and then on the second part of that question is we do need to erase the cap on the contribution on Social Security. That's vitally important to sustain this program. If we do that, studies have shown that it will maintain the life and preserve the life of Social Security for 75 years. Just that one thing alone. And we can do so much more, but that one issue alone, that's 75 years of protecting and securing Social Security for the next 3 or 4 generations. And that's vitally important.
We might as well move on to another big hot topic here in Southern Nevada. For years, there's been a push to preserve environmentally sensitive public lands, such as Gold Butte. And then in 2014, Cliven Bundy decided to wage his range war, and ever since then, we've seen this major pushback against, in some cases, having any public lands. Do you think the federal government has acted appropriately in the Bundy case? And going forward, do you think areas like Gold Butte deserve heightened protection, such as national monument status?
That's a really hot topic, and I'd love to address that issue, because what I'll say to that is states taking over our public lands would be not only unconstitutional, because it is within the constitutional right of the federal government to own those lands and to preserve those lands. But if time and time again, what's happened when we have turned over little bits of land to the states, they sell it to private corporations. They sell it for mining, they sell it for private development, commercial development, housing developments. So they're taking away our public lands to serve the interests of a handful of people. We can't do that. That's not okay. What I'll say is that the federal government has acted more than restrained when dealing with Cliven Bundy and his gang. What they did was not right. What they did was un-American, in my view, because you're calling for the overthrowing against the government. That's not okay. That's not American. That's not anything of the sort. So, I believe on this issue that the federal government should own the land and operate the land. And when it comes to Gold Butte, we need to make sure that we preserve treasured lands such as that going forward.
Since so far, I don't think it's been asked at any of the presidential debates yet, so we might as well ask it here. On reproductive rights, do you think there are too many barriers for women who are seeking to access abortion or even contraception? And if so, how would you address these barriers to what many would consider health care that's needed?
We can't have equality in our healthcare system if we don't provide it for women. If we don't have equal rights for women when it comes to health, when it comes to reproductive rights, we don't have equality. We don't have equality in our system, we don't have equality in society. So, too many barriers are put up for contraceptives, a woman's right to choose. The Republicans love to speak about keeping the government out of the bedroom and out of the offices.
Right.
But yet, they have no problem legislating a woman's body. They have no problem legislating a woman's right to choose, a constitutional right to choose, by the way. So yeah, I do believe that there are way too many barriers to contraceptives, which would seem to go into the idea if you're against abortion, you would want to provide contraceptives to women and to teenage women. That's important. So yeah, I do believe that we need to protect and advance the ability for women to exercise their right and keep the decision between a woman and her doctor where it belongs. And that's exactly the only place where
destruction. You have to stop population increase.
wanted to, because I feel this is an important question, give you a chance to answer this. About veterans, the VA, and what you think needs to be done to fix the VA and to and improve the improve the lives of military veterans coming home from war.
The way I'll answer that is, if we can afford to send young men and women to war, we can afford to take care of them after. And if we can't, then we shouldn't be sending them off to war. So that's first and foremost. The way we fix the VA...
We never paid for any of it. We never paid for any of it.
The other side of that is, we need to modernize the VA, not privatize the VA, which is a great Republican stunt of underfunding the VA so they can come back and say, hey, look, it's broken. So we need to privatize it, hand it over to private companies. That's not going to solve the problem. That's going to leave too many veterans without care, without the resources that they desperately need. And also, the way we can treat our veterans a lot better is having better transition programs from the battlefield into the workplace and back into society in general. That's vitally important to make sure that we reduce suicides, we reduce homelessness, joblessness, drug use. We need to take care of our veterans. They are real-life living heroes, and very few generations have to actually say that they have real-life living heroes among them, and we're one of them.
GI Bill. We need a GI Bill.
Modern GI Bill, absolutely.
We need a modern GI Bill.
Okay, if you'd like to go ahead with your closing statement.
Sure. Like I alluded to in the opening, I'm a grassroots candidate, and that means that I'm funded by the people and for the people. So again, when I get to Washington, the people are going to be who I respond to, not lobbyists, not big money donors. So if you want a representative that understands your needs, will listen for your needs, and hear you on the issues when we disagree. You need to have a representative that is your voice in Washington, and so that it's not drowned out, which happens time and time again. And we need to have a representative that unstacks the deck that's been unfairly stacked against you for way too long. So if you want a congressman that's going to represent you in Congress, vote for Alex Singer. You can visit my website at singerforcongress.com and join our team and take back this district from the Joe Hacks and make sure that Michelle Fiore doesn't end up in this seat not representing you. Thank you.